Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Civil Rights Agenda. I am Jackie McKethan. I am your host, and I want everybody to, anybody that wants to call in, please call us at 312-738-1060. We would appreciate comments, questions, or whatever you want to talk about. Unfortunately, I had Congressman Danny Davis scheduled to be with me tonight and talk about some things, but he had a last-minute commitment that he had to go to, and so he will not be joining me tonight. Hopefully we can get him reset to join us the third week of September, the third Friday, because this is just a monthly show. It only shows the third Friday of the month. So hopefully, I talked to him after his show, and he said he's willing to do it, and so I will call his scheduler and try and set it up. Okay? So, then we talk about some of the things that are happening in the news. Of course, the big thing is the incident that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia, okay? And it was, the biggest thing, of course, was the fact that Mr. Trump decided that he would, in fact, make a statement, and there's a lot of people who don't like his statement. He tried to equate those. Oh, we have a caller. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Good evening, Jackie. I'm going to make comments about those Confederate monuments. And we have, I'm not even going to call the guy who is the president. I want to refer to him as 45 because he is quite ignorant in a lot of ways. And there's an old proverb, and it goes like this: put brain in gear before putting mouth in motion. And when he made comments such as those monuments are beautiful and all that, and he needs to do some research. When you look in terms of the research, those monuments was put up, the bulk of those monuments was put up between 1910 and 1930, and we're talking about during the era of Jim Crow and when lynching was at the height. And I don't understand how those monuments were put in place. They was put in place to intimidate people. And they don't, and some people don't understand that because they don't really. You got to understand the importance of history. And they said certain things that have been subliminal to people. They said you always heard that comment that the South will always rise up again. And
I've heard that.
It has in a lot of different ways. Imagine you are a minority and you living in Mississippi and you going to a school that have been named after a Confederate general. I have a problem with that. Other people should have a problem with that as well. And we still haven't learned certain things from history. If you ask me, the folks in Germany, when they had certain, let's just say, a problem in history, they got it right in terms of you cannot put monuments of former Nazi generals that committed certain tragedies, you know, what do you want to call on humans. And there's not one statue of Adolf Hitler or any type of plaque about him at all. Only where he is mentioned maybe in the history books. And I don't understand how we have this person, number 45, said we need say those are like beautiful monuments and all that. And he makes certain types of comments about there was people on both sides that was terrible people, and there was some good people and stuff. And I don't understand the reason why you got to call it what it is, all right? The man is a bigot. He's a racist. And we still allow him to be in office. And anytime you have 4 former presidents has said, we've got both Bushes, that he is unfit to be in office. The man is an idiot because he refused to understand history. I guess I said enough.
Oh, no, that's okay. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. What really aggravates me about the whole thing, and you're right, I mean, the whole thing about those that came to speak out against racism, fascism, Nazism.
Let me make one other quick comment. The family members, like Stonewall Jackson, they say they understand the people, their feelings and all that. And they said the right place for them to be is like in a museum somewhere.
Well, my feeling is if the descendants of those people that were in the war want a monument, then put it in their backyard and install an 8 to 12.
They don't think it should be in a public place. They don't think it should be. I want to tell you something that's really hard, but show you how embedded it is. We have military bases named after Confederate generals.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with you at all, Joe. Not at all. What kind of sets me back is the fact that, and of course, this show is basically about the trans community, LGBT community.
And guess what?
We were.
You had the Ku Klux Klan. They lynched gays. Okay, they did that. They not only blacks got lynched, they lynched Mexicans as well.
Oh, absolutely.
In one case, there was a woman that was lynched.
Absolutely.
No, excuse me, she was murdered. Correction, murdered.
None of these, and which is why Trump won with 63% of white males, because we still have a problem in this country with white males thinking they should be more special than anybody else. Okay? And that's what, I mean, prejudice abounds. Okay? It's still out there. It's never gone away. We've had presidents, our last president, Barack Obama, mentioned many, many times the LGBT community and transgenders. He tried to bring about different solutions, including an executive order demanding that any contractor of the U.S. had to hire and not discriminate against LGBTs and or transgenders. And that was one of the first things Jeff Sessions did, was to rescind that executive order with Trump's okay, of course.
Now, Trump don't want gays in the military. And the funny thing about, I want to say this, all right, that the military, believe it or not, folks, they've had gays in the military serving through all the different battles, all the different wars. And they should allow, as long as they want to do their job, they should be able to allow to serve.
Well, there are. You're right. Absolutely. And on top of that, there are many countries that do allow gays, whether they're known or not known. But the point being is that we say we're a democracy. We say we are the land of the free. To me, that means everybody is free to be who or what or how they want to be, with the exception, of course, of...
Talk about the money it would cost if someone going through transitions, whatever the case may be, they worry about that cost. Let me hip you something. The military paid $87 million a year for Viagra, for people in the military. So they pay more money out for that what they do for the few people that may want to transition. So they want to pay more money out for Viagra. Excuse me, I ain't pronouncing it right. Look it up and you'll see for yourself. Take care.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you, and I agree wholeheartedly. You're right. The one good thing is after Mr. Trump talked about not allowing transgenders into the military, most of the generals, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and other generals and other commanders have publicly stated that it's not going to happen while they're, during their watch. That it's petty and that it is not part of our values. And we know, of course, that there are many people out there that use religion to put transgenders and LGBTs down. Okay, but the thing that kind of goads me is that you're right. I mean, the Nazis and the alt-right, or whatever they want to call it, are just as much against LGBTs as they are any race, any ethnicity, any whatever. But nobody ever mentions that, okay? Because that shouldn't count. There are probably in this country at least 5 million or more transgenders. Now, transgenders include cross-dressers that cross-dress part-time or cross-dress only in their home or whatever the case may be because they're afraid to go out, which they should be, because there's 30 states that still allow businesses or employers to fire them just because they're transgender. So you got cross-dressers, and then you've got full-time cross-dressers, and then you got those that are transitioning, such as myself. And I know this for a fact because on my previous weekly show that I had on the internet, I've had at least 4 or 5 therapists that have been on my show, and they all agree totally on this one point, and that is that somewhere between 3 to 5 people out of every 100 has a gender identity question within their own mind. Now, maybe some don't act on it for various reasons. Of course, those that live closeted, we don't see. Those who live in those states where it's practically a felony to do so, you're not going to see much of them, and they're not going to raise their hands very often. Okay? But what we can't seem to get across to this whole country, to the United States, is that we are people too. And we have the same feelings, we have the same thoughts, and so on and so forth, as any other person out there. I have not changed in any way, shape, or form from who I was inside, other than I feel better because I get to be who I want to be and what I want to be. Okay? The only thing that's changed is the facade. And why is that such a big issue? Because there's too many people that don't understand that we in the trans community don't care how somebody else lives their life. They're welcome to live it in whatever manner they want. Be it religiously or any other way. Just stay out of my life. I mean, if you can't be nice, if you can't be cordial to people, to anybody, then you need to stay in your house, probably. Because there is a wide variety of diversity out there. I am kind of glad about one thing, and that is that there seem to be a lot of Republicans that are, especially congressmen, senators, state congressmen, governors, so on and so forth, that have admonished Trump for what he said. Now, I don't know if that translates into them, those that don't support Trump. Does it translate into them becoming more moderate in their views about the LGBT community? Okay? Because it doesn't make any sense. Okay? The gentlemen that were on before me, okay? They are very good, very nice guys, and they know what they're talking about. We have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Jackie, I'm going to disagree with you on something. I think the reason why people harass people or abuse somebody because they may be different, because they are a bully. And anybody that's different from them, I think the real problem is really within them. And they do things to deflect attention from them to show their own insecurity.
Absolutely.
I have seen bullies, and sometimes it depends on the situation. When you stare that bully down, and that bully is outnumbered, outmuscled, the majority of the time that bully will run.
Oh, absolutely.
Bullies don't like to be outnumbered. And I feel as though with this one person we have in the White House, like any other type of bully, when they be outnumbered and they got people in their own party, I just talking about in general, when they are outnumbered, they will run and hide in each and every time. Because right now, this bully we have in the White House, you be hearing reports about him being isolated. And people is running away from him. He don't have nobody to be backing him up. And when a bully got to stand all by themselves, they alone, they wind up being like a big cow, and you could almost stamp your foot and they'll run away.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what you said is true. I mean that was Trump's whole campaign in the primaries as well as in, he bullied the other candidates. He just totally bullied. And that's why 63% of white males voted for him, because that's their mentality as well. You're going to get ahead by bullying people. You're going to have it your way or no way. And that's just not fair. The other thing that you mentioned at first, actually, you're absolutely right. Part of the reason that a lot of people bully somebody is because if they can, and this doesn't have to, this doesn't have to do with skinny people, fat people, doesn't have to do with race, ethnicity, or LGBTQIAs, or whatever. They do it to make themselves feel better. They figure if they can embarrass you, or then they can elevate themselves. If they can make you cry, then, oh, I'm better because I'm not crying. No, you're the one that's beating on some poor person over here. So, yes, that is a lot of it. It's a mental problem. And unfortunately, in this country, as well as the states themselves, we no longer try to house, take care of, and support mentally ill people. And we just throw them out on the street, okay? But it's true, okay? And that's what he is. He's a big bully. And that's what he wants in his administration, okay? But he's getting a lot of backlash from his own party or members of his own party, Congress, senators, and so on, as well as Republican governors and state legislators, et cetera, So I just wonder how long can he last knowing that every time he opens his mouth, the odds are 70% of the time he's gonna make somebody mad. And at that point, how long do we have to tolerate this nonsense? He's like a 9-year-old child or 8-year-old child on the playground, and he needs to be gone. And whatever way they do it, legally, of course, be it impeachment or be it, I read in the paper that there's a movement to censor him, but he would still have some say, not publicly, but he would still have some say how the government runs. So there's censorship, there's impeachment. Problem with impeachment is you really have to commit a crime. Being a 9-year-old bully isn't quite enough. So we can only hope that they find something about how he conducted his campaign, number one. But yeah, we are losing allies, we are losing friends, we're looking so bad in the eyes of the world with this guy that it's hard to say how it's going to go. Okay, it's just going to get worse as long as he's in there, and we'll have no friends at all. Okay, which becomes very dangerous, because if somebody does try to push us around, then nobody's going to come to help. Okay, but thank you for calling, and I do want to say a couple things for the transgenders that are watching. Hopefully there's some, and again, I apologize for the fact that Congressman Davis couldn't be with us. The gentleman on the show before us talked about getting involved, and there's some ways that transgenders can certainly get involved. Not only voting, not only lobbying, not only calling their congressmen and senators and legislators and so on and so forth, but there are some organizations you can join. I'm president of a NOW chapter, and a National Organization for Women is highly supportive and are big advocates of the transgender community. I am a Girl Scout leader, which means that the Girl Scouts are certainly not prejudiced. And I also just got voted as vice commander in my American Legion post. So these are ways that we can get in and become leaders and show that we're not so bad after all, okay? That because just we want to dress the way we want to dress doesn't make us bad people. So I totally encourage all transgenders, get involved in something in your community. Be it the American Legion, Girl Scouts, be it something like NOW or whatever. Those are certainly things that I know will accept you. I just want to remind everybody that our show is brought to you by the Civil Rights Agenda at 2129 Western Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. If you would like to volunteer or have any questions whatsoever, you can call them at 773-235-8852. Okay? I have run out of time, and I thank my callers, and I will be back the third Friday in September, and I hope that all of you will tune in and talk to me. Okay? So, till then, bye. Bye.